Have you ever imagined what it would feel like if your missing child tried to communicate through the walls of your own house? That's exactly what happened to Joyce Byers, one of the most striking and courageous mothers in Stranger Things. Joyce wasn't just a single mother in a small town called Hawkins. She was a woman carrying the weight of work, overdue bills, and above all, the responsibility of raising her two sons, Jonathan and Will. But when Will mysteriously disappeared, Joyce's world turned upside down, while everyone else believed it was just an ordinary missing persons case. She felt deep in her soul that something much bigger was happening, and that's when the improbable became real. Simple, colorful Christmas lights became the bridge between mother and son. Joyce noticed the bulbs flickering in strange patterns, almost like a secret language. Where most people saw faulty wiring, she saw a desperate cry for help from the upside down. Imagine the courage it takes to believe in that when everyone around you is calling you insane. At the height of her desperation, Joyce strung rows of lights all over the living room and, with a stroke of genius, painted the alphabet on the wall. This way, her son could communicate letter by letter, forming words. What seemed absurd turned into one of the most iconic scenes of the series. Each flicker of light was like a heartbeat, a thread of hope connecting mother and son, separated by dimensions. And here lies the strength of maternal love. Joyce didn't care about being discredited by neighbors, the police, or even her own children. She knew, she felt, and that was enough to turn her into a beacon of resistance against the unknown. But this scene doesn't just play with the supernatural. It speaks directly to our reality. Who hasn't felt like they were screaming, but no one could hear? Joyce, by insisting on her truth, shows that sometimes believing in the impossible is the only path to reaching what we love most. Dramatic pause, advertising tone, and speaking of turning the impossible into reality, have you heard of the Clip the Sixes? It's a vintage Bluetooth speaker that combines retro design with cinema-level sound power. Imagine recreating the Stranger Things atmosphere right in your living room, feeling every detail as if you were inside the scene. The Sixes is more than just a speaker. It's an auditory time machine, blending nostalgia and technology. Back to the story. With every flicker of the lights, the suspense grew. Run, fly. That was one of the messages Joyce received from Will through the lights. And in that moment, fear made it clear that what was at stake wasn't just the disappearance of a boy, but the rise of a threat that could swallow all of Hawkins. What's most fascinating is how this scene became a metaphor. Christmas lights, symbols of hope and celebration, were transformed into a language of despair and survival. The Byers' house, meant to be a safe haven, turned into a stage for communication with a dark, inverted world where monsters lurked in the shadows. Joyce became the embodiment of a mother who never gives up, who sees beyond the obvious, who fights against everything and everyone out of love. Her almost irrational faith not only saved Will, but also united the characters and opened the path to discovering the secrets of the upside down. And that's exactly what makes this scene unforgettable. It blends horror with tenderness, fear with hope, the supernatural with humanity. Now, I ask you, if you were in Joyce's shoes, would you have the courage to believe in the flickering lights? Or would you think it was nothing more than hallucination?